Hi, class. I wanted to go over with you as early as possible the KWL chart that you're creating, which is your second project for the course. In this second project, the K stands for what you know, the W for what you want to know, and the L for what you have learned. And what you have learned is a result of reading the articles that will be provided for you in the social science, natural science, history, and humanities lenses. At any rate, when you go to 4.1, choosing a topic, your three choices are special education and learning disabilities, the World Trade Organization, or space exploration. And pick a topic that you're really interested in, that you'd like to dig your teeth into and get more information about. Okay? Once you've selected your topic, and by the way, the selection of your topic and why you have chosen it, together with two of the questions that you've developed about what you want to learn, are going to be all part of your first posting on the discussion board this week. Then you'll respond to two of your classmates next week. But right now, I just want to concentrate on the KWL chart. You do have a template here, which I have downloaded and we'll get to in a moment. But what I want to point out to you is this KWL chart template, exemplar. This exemplar has taken the topic of air pollution and has taken the 4 articles that we read through the lens of social science, natural science, history, and humanities, and developed a KWL chart for you. So you can use this as an example of the creation of your own chart. So for example, it states that you have chosen the topic of pollution, what you already know. Pollution is bad for one's health, for example. This is what I want to know. And there are like 7 different questions they've asked here. For example, is there more pollution in developed countries? Then what you learn through reading the article through the lens of social science. Pollution is the 4th leading cause of death worldwide. Have any of your questions been answered? Yes. This article answered question 2 and how it answered it. And then the citation, which is, the citations are provided for you. All you have to do is indicate the URL once you go to the Shapiro Library and read that particular article. And then they've done the same now with natural science. They did it with the history and with the humanities. This is an excellent source of information to try to provide you with a good sample of what your KWL chart should look like. Now I want to go ahead and open up the template for your KWL chart. Please read the instructions and the rubric so you know exactly what is being asked of you and how it will be graded. But at any rate, in the K area, let's say you were to list special education and learning disabilities as your topic, or space exploration, or the World Trade Organization. So what do you already know? Well, maybe you already know that there are special education programs in schools for students that need accommodations. Maybe you already know that the United States was the first to have men land on the moon for space exploration. Maybe you already know that the World Trade Organization establishes treaties, policies between countries as far as trade is concerned. What do you want to know? Maybe you want to know in special education and learning disabilities what qualifies as a learning disability. Maybe you want to know why, if the United States is still involved in space exploration and what's its purpose. Maybe you want to know what countries are actually part of the World Trade Organization. Now, what you have learned, when you go to the database of opposing viewpoints, you have an article, Cognitive Strategies for Students with Mild Learning Disabilities, which would be the article for special education and learning disabilities. You have the article In a Trade War No One Wins for the World Trade Organization. You have the article In Space Exploration, Cleaning Up Space, the Development of International Space Debris Policies. Once you've read those articles and the citation is provided, you just have to fill in the URL by going to the Shapiro Library. You then will go ahead and indicate whether or not any of the questions that you had that you listed over here have been answered. If your questions haven't been answered, what you would do for additional research, explaining in a paragraph or so how your question has been answered and what information you have gathered. And then you put your citation. So maybe you have learned what countries are part of the World Trade Organization. Maybe you have learned why the United States is still involved in space exploration. Maybe you have learned what qualifies as a learning disability. Now, your key words: special education, learning disabilities, accommodations. I could go on with a list of others. The U.S. in space exploration, space debris, the World Trade Organization, countries' treaties, countries part of the World Trade Organization, just keywords that you would use to do research, including additional research. Now, when you get to the, that's for the social science, you would then go to the natural science. We have articles under the the natural sciences. Special education learning disabilities has specific productive factors in children with learning disability, a qualitative study. The article in the World Trade Organization is World Trade as the adjustment mechanisms of agriculture to climate change, and in space exploration, exploring outer space technologies for sustainable buildings. And you would fill out that information. Now remember, your chart does not have to wait until the end of work week 5 for submission. But since we are going to be reading articles through the lens of history and humanities, there is no rush to judgment to submit the chart. Now, you may be asking yourself, what is this all about? What's the purpose of it? Well, if we create the lens chart initially, seeing what the characteristics of the various lenses are of the liberal arts, and what questions we would ask, and whether we would use primary or secondary sources or both. Now, when we take a particular topic and we put it what we know, what we want to learn, and what we have learned through certain particular articles, and going to the Shapiro Library to read those articles and to fill in the URL for the citation, all of this can be gathered together for our final project on one of these 3 topics that you have selected. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this particular template and I'm going to put it in an announcement, and I'm going to provide examples and the articles that you would be reading for the particular lens that you are working with. And maybe that will provide you with additional assistance. Please remember that I'm always here, whether you want to contact me by email, through the general question forum, or even in the discussion forum. I'm always here to answer any of your questions. I want you to succeed. I want you to do well. I want you to follow the directions, though. That's most important, that you actually look at the guidelines and the rubric for each one of the projects that you are developing. Okay? That's it for now. Thank you.